Hello everyone, David Miller here. Glad to be back. Things have been pretty busy in my life. I hope you can forgive me. So, a lot has changed since my last commentary. We now have the outline of a building footprint. And it looks like this is going to be two buildings, as other people have also suggested. So we know for sure that there's going to be 4 production lines going in down there. I suspect that the building on the left, being the larger one, is going to have Cybertruck and whatever car they're making, starting with Model Y. And the facility on the right most likely is going to be the semi. And then as you can tell by the rainfall pictures that we have seen, the area in between, water is collecting in the center. So that shows us that we have a swale type layout there where the water is supposed to collect in the middle so it can be handled properly. So that footage works very well at explaining that. So that most likely be a common area between the buildings where the trucks can come in and back up to the building so that they can get access to their parts and pieces. Totally unbelievable the amount of rain that has been going on down there. They've lost probably 4 good production days at getting this job back on track. As you notice, the washout areas, they haven't done anything to. And then the areas where the silt from the washout has built up, they haven't done anything there. I strongly suspect that Ranger, having the integrity that they seem to have, has probably called in a testing company for the geological testing, because silt tends to be rather elastic, and it may be too elastic to put material on and expect to have a firm ground that's going to be weight bearing. So they probably have tested the soil, waiting for results to come back and direction on what to do with that material, whether to haul it out of there, whether to push it around and make it thinner, or whether it's going to be firm enough and they can just use it. So I think that's why nothing has happened with that yet. Plus, also consider that there has been rain in the forecast and water has picked its own path, and if you just leave it alone, it'll follow that path again. Looking at the area around the 6 job trailers, we can see that there has been hauling away of the millings that were piled up behind the trailers. Those millings are a little too coarse apparently for the mill that was running, but this material would choke up very tight and make good fill down in the bottom of some of those deeper holes. And we see that they've been hauling that out of there. It'd be interesting if we could see them actually doing that and where they are putting it. Here we can see excavations going in preparation of footers. That's a very, very good sign. That means concrete is coming soon. Here we can see a tractor running through there bringing discs. This has also been hit by bulldozers. I think what they're trying to do here, this is the low area. It's all mucky. It's been containing a lot of water. In fact, it was 2 ponds right after the rain. It looks to me like they're trying to fluff this up, get more material exposed to the air in an effort to try to dry it out so that they can get that filled again. Apparently they think that's more cost effective than scraping it out of there and bringing in new. Here we can see this area being reworked. We have a dozer and a roller working in there, reforming this material. I guess they're fluffing it up a little bit, perhaps changing the height, and then packing it back down again, probably to repair the damage from the rain that they've had. Here we see where some brave soul made a trip down through the silt bed. I guess it's kind of a test to see how mucky it was, how dry it was, or whatever. So it looks by those tracks that it's pretty darn mucky. Here's a white truck. I've seen in the comments where people have been asking what that truck is. That is a service truck. About half the truck is a fuel tank, so they can go around and fuel up these guys so they don't have to leave where they're working to get refueled. You'll also find a compressor on there if they need compressed air, maybe tires are getting soft or whatever. There will be a battery bank on there and jumper cables and probably a generator too. That's if they need a jump start or for some reason that they're trouble starting an engine or it's stalled or maybe they ran out of fuel, they got to crank it a lot to reprime it. So this is a kind of an all-purpose truck to serve the working equipment. It saves time because he can go right where the equipment is. This is this newly laid out area that we've been wondering about and we're still wondering about. Here we can see some equipment have been in there because the vegetation is much reduced. I thought at first maybe a brush hog might have gone through there, but it looks more like it's been scraped down because the road looking area has a bunch of stuff piled up on there. So we can expect activity here very, very soon. Looking across the road, we see the belly dumps, the on-site belly dumps have been very busy scraping down this area. If you remember, this used to be higher than the road. Now it's considerably lower than the road. And from what I can tell, they are running that material up toward the right center of your screen. And the area between this area and the parking area, they filled in that low spot and they're doing considerable grading up there. So this is the next area of concern that we're going to be watching. We can see major changes coming up here in the very near future, I believe. On the right of the screen, you can see a red pump sitting down there. They are drawing that green water out of there, and it looks like they're just putting it over the high spot and just getting rid of it. I guess they got enough water on site from all the rain that they're not going to need that. So we can expect major changes coming to this swamp in the very near future. Slightly to the left of center, we can see where they've kind of cut a crude road up through there. I'm not sure if that's going to be the extent of what they're doing and they're putting in a silt fence there, or if they're just kind of testing the waters, so to speak, to see if they can get equipment and or trucks in and out of there. Maybe the idea is that to get trucks in and out of there, they might have to bring in some more solid material so they get that vegetation out of there and then start running more equipment in there. But this is going to be interesting to watch. This is going to really pop over the next week or so. Here we see major changes to the parking area. The guys are all parked up at the top at the pile of grub that's there. And the whole parking lot looks like it's getting groomed and filled. So I strongly suspect that my suspicions were right when I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I think it was in the comments, that the area across from the Harold Green Road is going to be a parking area because it looks like this is no longer going to be their parking area. Time will tell. Don't know if I'm right. It's just a guess. Here we can see lots and lots of material coming in and being dumped and filling up this area off toward the north. This is a very good sign that the job is getting back on track and progressing swimmingly. Here we see some brown piles and some white piles. The brown piles are scrap. The auger is drilling a hole and the skid steer is scraping that and putting it in a pile. And the process, it picks up some of the stone that was dropped off earlier and it becomes a good firm mix. Now what they've been doing is putting this on the side dumps and filling that in around the wet areas where the dozer runs it out. Now the white pile you see there is the stone that the geopier system is using. Here again, we can see the tractor and the discs going through this wet area. Again, leading me to believe that they're trying to fluff this up to the air, expose more surface area so that it can dry quicker. Here on the lower right hand side of your screen, we can see a big pile of dirt. I strongly suspect that that dirt is spoil that has come out of the excavation for the footers, being stockpiled nearby so they don't have to chase down very far when they're going to need that in the future for backfilling. In this view, we can see 3 piles of white crushed stone, or pale gray, or whatever that is, and more coming in. That tells us that geo up here is just getting warmed up. There's a lot more to do, and having this stockpiled in this vicinity, that there's a lot more to do right here. Here in the lower right, we can see one of their tankers sitting there, and it's been there for a while. The whole time that we've had to deal with the rain. You'll notice in Sunday's video that is not there anymore. Not sure where it got to, but it's going to be interesting to see where that shows up next. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I thank you for your comments. I'm sorry, I hope it won't be so long until I can do another one, and I look forward to it. Thank you.